lost in space and time for over 10,000 years, on a mission they were never meant to return from. They have returned.
Hello.
It looks like it's...
Oh, it looks like... Okay, good. Oh.
Hello and welcome to a panic-ridden episode of The Comic Shop Does a Podcast, where audio issues could be happening at any moment.
It's a standard around here.
We might be able to speak to you. We might not. This might be a silent podcast today, but we won't know until the end.
It looks good.
Yeah,
I was
think
just...
everything's fine.
Joe... You guys introduce yourself,
Yes.
Aaron, before I start.
Who are you?
I am Papa Lee.
I'm the intern.
And I am Evan Coy. We're going to see if I have a camera today.
I think it's the one. Yes, okay.
There he is.
Hey.
He's the only one that gets a human designation.
Wow, we were really washed out.
Oh, is that... Oh, Mrs. Lee hears us loud and clear.
Mama Lee.
Shout out to... Well, we can't even shout anybody out. The shout-out button's not going to work today.
She said she can hear us loud and clear.
I did it just in spirit.
Okay. Bing! Joe was working on some audio stuff for us during Magic on Friday nights because we wanted to watch a video game stream, and the audio wasn't coming out of the TV.
Right.
So he rerouted something on there so the audio would go on the TV, but now our sound bites must not be playing. So, well, whatever. It's just one sound bite. Doesn't really matter.
You know what they say.
That's fine.
There it is. That'll
yeah.
be the shout-out button for today, I think.
So it is coming through the...
Yeah. No, I
stream.
think the audio
John
for...
says it. He heard the bing, so...
Oh, you heard the bing?
Yeah, John.
You heard
that's what
that
John said.
thing.
Bing came
Did you
through.
hear Did you hear the intro too?
Lots of buffering, though. Sure if it's bad internet or our bad internet. Let's see.
Yeah, our internet's been getting worse and worse. I don't understand.
It must... We're doing fine here. We haven't dropped any frames. So, John maybe can...
We're off to a rockin' and rollin' start
know.
today.
Oh, my goodness.
After our mega colossal podcast of last week, that went very well.
It
I
did.
just was
Yeah.
bummed that the
Here,
one
you wanna
mic.
scooch over here.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, I like when Aaron stays half on frame. That's on brand for him.
I'm a mystery.
Yeah. When last week when I thought everything went really well, it's just that one microphone was just not picking up, and then I was so mad. I don't know if I told you this. I think I did, but just for the
Probably.
podcast, I went to Guitar Center in Syracuse that morning.
Yeah.
And I was looking for XLR splitters because we were going to have the most microphones we've ever done. And I wanted to make sure that, like, we're going to maximize what we have. Aaron brought in a mic, which, Aaron, you can bring your mic home.
Ooh.
Taylor brought me in a couple mics. I actually picked up another condenser mic, which is... We're on dynamic mics. Nobody cares about this. We're on dynamic mics, more of a podcast type mic. Condenser mics are more of like a live stage performance type mic, but they're still fine for a podcast thing. And they're
That's
also
what I brought in, right?
yes, and they're also $300 cheaper than these. So
Sir, can you please silence your phone
we
during
just
the
have
podcast?
all sorts of audio fun today. So I went to Guitar Center. Look.
Is that it sounded like Taco Bell. It
Yeah,
sounded
there's a
big.
Taco Bell one.
Went to Guitar Center looking for XLR splitters. Guy's like, oh, yeah, XLR splitter right here. XLRs are the cables that our microphones are on.
Right.
Bought a couple other things, whatever, brought it back, and I go, oh my gosh, he gave me the wrong thing. He gave me a XLR combiner. And then after thinking for 15 minutes, I go, no, I told him the wrong thing. I needed a combiner, and I told him I needed a splitter. So shout out to the guy at the Guitar Center. He did sell me.
out.
He sold me the right thing. It was just me asking for the wrong item. And then it's like, I'm not going to drive back out
Yeah.
like for an hour and a half to try to get the right stuff. So it didn't go exactly how I wanted it to go. But I do
I think it still went pretty well.
I think it went, like just content wise, I think everybody had a really good time. It was fun
Yeah,
with Mama's Geeky.
I had a great time.
There's something off the air. Oh, Lucas knows about those. So there's a Mama's Geeky something that might be going on in the near future, which I don't think
Yes.
we should. Which what is going on today?
Aaron, relax.
Daylight savings time, man.
It's messed us
How
all
did
up.
does it mess you up?
It does not mess me up.
I'm just more tired because it's.
It-
I think you just stay at places later. I don't know.
I like it when it switches because it stays late.
Give me that
lighter
Because
out.
you're a lunatic?
Give me the fallback, baby.
I love when it's like 8 o'clock and it's still kind of light.
No,
you know?
and I agree. It's just the whole hour time switch is so stupid, and I don't
don't
know why
know.
we do it.
Honestly, if I didn't hear about it yesterday, I probably wouldn't have known. I woke up at like 10ish and I had to be at work at 11, and I was like, okay, yeah, I am pretty tired, but other than that, I'm fine.
We are all tired today because we're all drinking caffeine, which I feel like none of us are typically drinking caffeine at this point in time.
No.
I mean, I'll have a soda every now and then, but it's
But I guess that's a
not like
regular for you.
coffee.
You asked for a cup of coffee before the show, and I was
Yeah.
like, boy, okay. Because
which I don't know. I'm
Well,
in
you
the
know,
mood for
those late
coffee.
night show hosts, like they have a fresh cup of coffee in their little cups on the table.
Yeah.
Like Colbert, like he's got a fresh cup.
there.
And I mean, he doesn't drink the whole thing, but he'll take like a sip or
just
two,
downs
just
the whole
to,
thing.
just to woo. Just
Yeah.
to-
Probably does some like cocaine too.
Yep.
No, don't besmirch the
He
name
calls
of my
it.
beloved
He calls it
Colbert.
his booger
Col-
sugar.
Oh God.
I do like Stephen Colbert. He's cool. But today we're talking about Nightmare Alley, the one that came out in 2021. Guillermo del Toro directed it. He wrote it too. He
He had a co-writer.
did have a
in there.
co-writer.
They did a fantastic job on the writing and the writing credits there. It's a remake, or
Kim Morgan is the co-writer.
yes,
It's based on the 1946 novel by William Lindsay Gresham.
We have
1946.
we have Kotana. Is that how you say
Oh, I
it?
guess it must
in
be.
the chat.
1947.
He's in the chat.
Oh,
Oh,
Caetano.
Caetano.
Oh my gosh, I totally wanted.
Oh man, he would be a good guy to have on
should
the
we
thing
talk
right
about-
now.
You know what? We're going to change course real quick, and then we're going to get
We're
back
gonna
to
talk
this.
about this?
Yeah, can we talk
Take
about
me to
this?
the overhead cam.
Yes.
Whoa,
Look at that beauty.
Caetano,
Hmm.
artistic comic superstar, was in the store today and brought me an ash can of his new book, which is incredible. It's incredible.
This is an ash can, which means it's a smaller preview of an upcoming book. Look at this typography. Look at these colors. Look at this ink work. Oh, come on. Come on.
The colors.
Fantastic.
Actually, Martin and I, after Caetano left, Martin and I were just drooling over everything, but specifically the colors in this are
Oh,
just
yeah.
I do love
beautifully
the colors,
done.
Yeah.
Nice thick paper. I was wondering where he got this printed up, but like it's
The
got good
panel
meaty
layout
pulpy
is
paper.
Too, it's just so good. The panel.
Yeah.
I think Caetano's pages, and Aaron and I got to see a lot more of them hanging out at whatever that was, Coffee and Comics a few
Yes.
weeks ago.
Thanks
his-
for the
his-
invite, by the way.
Well, we wanted to have fun. His page layouts, are so fun and creative, and every page has its own like different twist and feel, and it's not the 6-panel, 9-panel grids that I like or I gravitate to because I know how those work. It's like Caetano's really experimenting. with
Open
stuff.
panel here. Yeah, there are no different or no layouts are the same throughout this whole short story here. A nice open panel and like nice painted edges. It's got kind of like maybe a colored pencil kind of feel at times.
Now, Caetano, I know you computer lettered this, but at one point in time, were these pages hand lettered, or am I remembering other pages that you had that were hand
We
lettered?
need him on the show soon. I'm surprised he hasn't.
Oh yeah,
We haven't
like
invited him.
he was also just down at he was
Thing in
he was a
Austin, I
presenter at a table. I think
Yeah.
down in Austin.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Austin, but I'm not. Or
I think it
I
was
think it's
Austin.
Austin. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like it would be cool to have him come down on
said-
the show.
I had hand lettered it, but I wasn't so good at it. So
I thought your hand lettering, and Aaron, I don't know if you have any. I thought your hand lettering was fantastic. That's one of the things that I think that my handwriting's atrocious, and I really feel like you've got a calligrapher's style hand where you could definitely hand letter if you want. I mean, it's more work.
Yeah,
But,
definitely. Seems very daunting.
yeah, hand lettering. Yeah, it can be tedious, but he left some hand lettering in here too for effect for certain characters.
Is there?
Yeah, like
love
like
when
this
comics
is still
do
hand
that.
lettered.
I love when comics do that.
Yeah, it does take a while though for the hand lettering. Maybe whenever I've done hand lettering, like unless I go for like a real like hand lettered type thing, like that's like very clearly like something that I drew. I don't know that it always works, but there are websites out there like Calligrapher without the E. If you can make an account there and you can print out a thing and write in your own handwriting the letters and send it back in and make a font of your own handwriting.
Have you ever turned your own handwriting into a font? I feel like that's a project you would do.
That's all of the text that's in speech bubbles for Wesley the Robot.
Is your own handwriting?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know
Wow.
that. Maybe you told me that at one point in time, but that's awesome.
Yeah, and I want to experiment with some other stuff too to get it really looking like how I draw capitals sometimes, like in my looser drawings. But that's an exercise for a different day.
Lucas, what's that next comment say? I can't read it from here.
I want to try to use the font making program Aaron was telling me about. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
awesome.
gets sometimes the kerning gets a little weird, so sometimes you have to manually adjust that. That's space in between letters.
Thank you. I was going to ask. That's what I thought it was.
And leading, which is the space in between lines of text. Sometimes you got to tweak it a little bit, but yeah, there's some good tools out there for lettering, and hand lettering looks good. But it's just like if you're the one person doing everything all yourself, like by the time you get to scripting it, sometimes it's just like I'm gonna type this in and try to make it look good. But man,
I was so excited when Caetano brought this in today. He made a lot of good connections down there, he said.
awesome.
Met a lot of cool people. He says he has a copy for you, and then he has a copy for Frank Carmuso, who's one of the captains of Ahoy Comics, which is based out of Syracuse, which we got an Ahoy comic in today, and Martin and I don't remember ordering it because we thought maybe it's a trade for something, and we're like, is this a special order for somebody? But I just like to think we're supporting the local boys, and it was a no-brainer to just throw that Ahoy comic in the cart. So
that's what it
I've
was.
got to get. There's a book that came out a while ago now. It's called I think Happy Hour. It's a Peter Milligan book that got published through Ahoy. It's about like a future dystopian society where no one's allowed to be unhappy. I gotta get that.
Seems
at some
cool.
point.
Seems like a cool concept.
Yeah, they do some cool stuff. I liked High Heaven. Do you remember when that came out?
I do not.
It's a Tom Payer book. Tom Payer, who did a bunch of stuff for Marvel or DC, and another one of
Yeah.
the stewards of Ahoy.
Ahoy has some great talent.
Yeah.
There's some really top-tier talent that's associated with Ahoy. I'm always kind of not surprised, but it's like, oh, that's the backyard company. And, being here in Oswego, like, Syracuse is in our backyard, and it's like, they've got legit dudes working on
Yeah.
books.
Yeah,
Dudes and ladies.
Yeah, the Higher Heaven thing was
She's a very nice
was
lady.
about like if heaven was a bureaucracy. You know what I mean? It's very kind of like cynical, but the artwork is very grounded for something as fantastical as that. I really like that series a lot. I think there's another one. I think they're working on a sequel to it. But yeah, there's good stuff. Good stuff coming from them. I know Edgar Allan Poe, the
Snifter.
I know that's a popular thing, a good anthology book. Yeah, good stuff there from Ahoy Comics here in Syracuse. Proud to have them around.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Local boys doing good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, Aaron, when Caetano brought that in, I was just
Yeah.
like,
You were-
oh my
you
God.
were
I was
gushing
I was
over it.
fangirling.
Yeah,
I was
you were.
fangirling. Like, it's stuff like this that's just that's the best part of being at the comic shop. And I was talking to Martin about this. It's like you're surrounded by creativity, and I think I've mentioned this a million times before. But it's like everybody has their little thing, whether it's Tyler Rigby, who's going to be on next week sharing his film stuff with us,
Yeah.
Patty Talamo sharing her photography and her jewelry stuff, our dice people from Fumblefoot, Aaron doing Wesley the Robot, Caetano bringing in his prints. We've got a miniatures maker. His name is Andrew, who's been bringing some stuff in here that's very cool. Just a great place for creative people to come and like share and vibe and put their stuff into the world. And I really feel like that's the coolest part about being here is like the amount of super creative people, and everybody is in their own lane. Everybody's doing their own thing, and even like Aaron's a comic artist and Caetano's a comic artist, but like they're doing very different things, and
Yeah.
they have different things that they're focusing on, and it's just fun to get everybody together and talk and share. And I think that's what this stupid podcast is about too. Is
Hey,
like
it's not stupid.
this
It's
silly
a very smart podcast.
It's very intelligent.
I'm
Come
here.
on, please.
this highbrow thing. Trying to find Jonathan Ashline doing his book.
Yeah, you just
yeah.
mentioned
I know. I just saw this name pop up and I was like, damn. But like, it's a place for creative people to come together and share their ideas and thoughts, and hopefully instill some creativity into other people. So,
Yeah, not to mention, Comic Shop Makes a Comic still.
comic
still
shop
in
makes a
progress.
comic.
The thing going on.
When's that coming out?
Who knows?
Soon?
I can't wait.
Sometime? Summer.
I think
sometime?
my goal is free comic book day.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I think
that's
I think we can make that happen.
because I think that would be nice to have handing out on free comic book day is
Yeah.
our comic
For free?
Absolutely.
We're charging $5 actually.
No,
That's gonna be fun.
no, we're not
It's
going to
free.
do that.
I'm gonna bring a copy to my mom.
Are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should. You
I'm
should.
gonna.
Yeah.
It's like my first
Actually, I
published
liked
work.
your little page was kind. I mean,
Yeah,
it was rudimentary, but it was a funny premise.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's silly.
You know,
It's silly.
and that's the thing. It should be a low barrier of entry. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yes.
make something, put it into the world, like Aaron always says.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Is Free Comic Book Day in May?
It is
this
the
year?
first Saturday in May, whatever Saturday that is.
The first Saturday in May.
The 5th.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I can look real quick.
Oh, I'm looking it up right now.
I got it. It's the 7th.
The 7th.
Just like I said, May 7th.
May 7th.
Sorry.
Excellent. Free
Very
comic
exciting.
books only $5. Okay, Tom's gonna have a free one by then, huh?
That's sweet.
Oh wow!
One of these casts, I'm gonna have to have. Maybe I'll do like an update on where I am with Wesley 9. That thing's got it's a 60-page monster, and I've got like 75% of it penciled or better. I got reference for all the panels, and I'm just kind of going through panel by panel by panel when I get a chance to work on stuff. Finished the entire penciling the entire fight scene between the rematch between Wesley and Barnaby Deathcastle the other day.
Awesome.
Yeah, very excited about the
When's this
the
coming
fight
out?
scene.
It's gonna be a little while. Right?
My goal is fall. If I beat that, great. If I don't, okay.
You'll beat it. It's Aaron.
Come on. It's you. We know it's you.
But I do. It is like 75% penciled. So
That's amazing.
it's
That's awesome.
it's the best comic I've ever made. It's got a lot of really cool stuff.
Can I get
But
a signed copy?
yeah, if you buy it,
I'll buy it.
and you can't print them for free. But
I'll buy
it's
it
gonna
if
be
I get
very
a
reasonably
signed
priced
copy.
for what it's gonna be. I think I'm gonna do like a foil cover on this one too.
You keep threatening that.
Well, it's doable though, as long as it doesn't go above 64 pages. Kablam can print on foil stock.
Nice.
So, anywho,
Very
I'm getting into the
nice.
weeds on that. I can talk for days about that. But we're talking about Nightmare Alley, not Heaven Alley.
We did take a-
Caetano threw us off here. I wanted to
Right.
get to the comic later, but it's just
Right.
it's such a beautiful piece of art.
It
I
really
just
is.
like
It's
I get
fantastic.
like Shade the Changing Man vibes from the cover, and I love the Shade
Okay.
the Changing Man.
Yeah.
For the Chris Pachalo, like that old stuff. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yep.
who is that? Peter Milligan. Peter Milligan wrote that too.
Is it?
I believe so. Peter Milligan, who also wrote Happy Hours, done a bunch of stuff through a bunch of different indie
Very
indie
cool.
comic companies.
Very cool.
But yeah, Nightmare Alley, Guillermo del Toro film.
Let's dive into that. Well, you watched the one from the 1940s ish.
Yeah, I watched the one from
When did it come out?
1947.
47. I think the book was
47.
46. The movie was 47.
There's a book.
Yep,
Yes.
that's what they're both based on. They say that the Guillermo del Toro film is more based on the book. It's trying to
Right.
pull more from the book, whereas the one in 1947 changed some things. But there's a lot of similarities.
Is there?
It's much more similar than I thought it would be. I think that they made some different choices in 1947,
Why do you think those choices were made?
so
Without-
that we can
I
have
mean,
like a
I imagine
like an
'cause-
ending that's not
Right,
well.
right.
you want to do
I think-
spoilers on the old ending?
Well, I
We
think
could do that.
it's because audiences back then, it,
I think you're right.
they
Should
want
we do
more
like
of an uplifting.
The Guillermo
sting,
del
right?
Toro movie version ends as a tragedy.
Yeah.
Whereas the earlier version, Aaron,
there's some redemption of the main
Of the
character.
Stan, right?
Yeah, he goes back to the same carnival that he came from, and his wife is back there too, and he's kind of running around as the geek, kind of starting
geek,
starting the conversation off at the end, but that's okay.
Well, it's it's the older one, so
Yeah, and so they chase him into like a tent that's empty, and then his wife kind of confronts him and like snaps him back to reality, and they kind of like embrace, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna clean up my act and do the right thing," and she's like, "Oh, what's his name again?"
Stan.
And she's like, "Oh, Stan," and that's kind of like
were they bumping gums?
Uh
That was one of our favorite phrases from.
from the newer one.
The newer one.
It's
I
much.
missed that.
It's implied actually in the older one that they did much more than bumping gums.
Oh, they're
Oh.
bumping uglies.
Well, because they disappeared from the movie, and then they're like, "Where were you?" And then the strong man was like, "You're gonna marry her."
Well, let's get into the new one, shall we? I think for a Guillermo del Toro film, I think it's pretty grounded in reality.
Not a lot of fantastic. I mean, there's elements of.
There is, but like like I think his last one was Shape of Water. I think it was.
I would say yes.
I mean, it was like 3 years ago. It won Best Picture.
It wasn't Crimson Peak. Did Crimson Peak come out
No.
after Shape of Water?
No. That was before. That came out in like 2014.
Now, if
or
Aaron is
2015.
questioning this, though, there's a 99% chance that Aaron is right.
No, I'm telling you right now.
That was in the before times.
That I remember. I was a freshman in high school. I was a freshman in high school when Crimson Peak came out.
Okay.
And then Shape of Water was. I was more into movies.
2015 for Crimson Peak.
Yeah, Shape of Water was 2018 or 2019, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
I saw Shape of Water at the Little Theater in Rochester.
A little shout out to the Little Theater. That's still kicking, huh? I hope it's still kicking. I hope they didn't close during the pandemic.
Let's hope not. I love little theaters like that. Like where I'm from, there's a small it has like 2 screens, and even then it's
That's what I think
like
the
super
Little
small.
Theater in Rochester is.
And
It's
they
a two-
really
two
only-
just
screens.
a 2-screen.
they
Yeah.
really
It
only
might
show
be-
like
might be
artsy
3.
type films.
I don't know. I feel like maybe there's 3. 'Cause
I feel like it was
Two-
two screens
maybe just two.
back in my day, but I also haven't been there for 20 years. So
I'm so jealous of people who like grew
In
up
the
in the Little
60s,
Theater.
back in your day.
yeah.
Because like I would have been there like all the time, and then they also do events where they watch like horror movies like
Yep.
in October and stuff. I would love to like drop in at one of those and
Oh
watch
my
like
gosh.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre
That'd be
or like
amazing.
Return to the Living Dead or Evil Dead 2. You know, just to see it on the big screen, that would be a blast.
Evil Dead
I
2
feel like
would
the
be
last time I
amazing.
was there was in college when we saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like full blown.
Sure,
Everybody
sure.
was up on stage.
That's how it always is, though, right?
Well,
Those
I
shows,
guess.
right?
I'd never gone before.
It's like an event.
yeah.
I've still never seen the original.
I've never seen.
I saw the remake
never
on
seen it.
Fox though. That's just as good, right?
Sure.
The live one they
Oh,
did on
100%.
Fox.
It's even better.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
I'm trolling a little bit.
I know. I do want to see that though, Rocky Horror Picture Show or whatever.
We're not going to talk anything about Nightmare Alley.
I hear
really
it's
not.
good. I hear
No.
it's got Susan Sarandon. I like Susan Sarandon.
You got what's his name? Tim Curry.
Tim
Tim
Curry.
Curry, classic,
Great, love that guy.
legend.
Legend.
But,
Let's talk Nightmare Alley. Let's talk the new one specifically. Now,
Yeah.
you saw the old one. You watched it same day.
Well, I've
or-
seen both of them. Yeah, I watched in the early morning. I found it on YouTube, the 1947 edition, in pretty high quality actually.
See, I
I was impressed with how good the original was. Actually,
Yeah?
it was
Yeah.
it was good.
I don't know. Old films for me, I just don't like watching old black and white films, and it sucks too because there's so many great stories told. In the 30s and 40s.
Really,
and
you're a film guy who's not into like.
I'm not, and I don't
Really?
know if it's because I associate it with like classes where I would get assigned. Oh yeah, watch these films from the 30s, and they're each like 2 hours long, black and white, and I'm like, oh my god, these are so boring. And so it could be that, but I'm just not. Those aren't my type of flicks. I don't know.
Well,
I can appreciate them though, and know why they're so revolutionary or so impactful, and
Well, I mean, you can still. I mean, I'm appreciating black and white film more and more just because of like as I get into storytelling and like how I'm putting together pages and
Right.
stories and sequences, and a lot of these older films put together sequences of storytelling in a way that makes more sense that I can kind of steal from. Because like an establishing shot, or they'll be more simplified, or like
sure.
just the sequence is stuff I can take from more. That's not such crazy editing or like weird angles or stuff like that. It's just
Is it more of like those movies are the 6-panel, 9-panel grids of the
Yes.
film world where
Yeah.
like you're just establishing what the medium is,
Right.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden there's all these different rules and you can break borders and get people to read right to left if you do the right speech bubbles and panel cuts and things like that.
Yeah, it's just the fundamental storytelling stuff that I pick up more, and the composition in those things too. Because even if they're not the like the most cutting edge special effects or whatever, you can still put together a composition that looks good on screen. It doesn't matter if it's
Right,
in
right.
color. And actually, they do have a black and white cut of the new.
Oh, is that right?
New Nightmare Alley.
Really?
That's
And,
interesting.
I don't know where that one's available. I think that one's in theaters, but Jonathan Legoman is asking where we saw it. It's on HBO Max and Hulu right now, so it's widely streaming, and I think it can be purchased video on demand as well.
I think it's probably out on Blu-ray now because it came out.
Yes,
I would think so.
I
If
think
it's already
in
on
the
streaming and
fall,
everything.
Yeah.
But you were talking about it being more based in reality. There's no fantastical creatures.
No.
Yes.
In
It's,
this.
it's the carnival freaks, but
Right.
but nothing that's
Right.
yeah.
You have the geeks, right? And then
So what is a geek?
I don't know. Aaron,
saw it,
you
right?
take this. I did see it. You take this though. I don't know how.
We actually looked this up because I was curious if the terminology had changed over time,
Right.
and I think it kind of has. And I guess
You want me to jump on it?
Yeah, jump on.
So
it.
it's someone, according to the definition, it's someone who's so low skilled that the only contribution they can make to society is to,
Maybe not society, but the carnival
So the carnival is to like basically eat live animals.
they're just the
freaks me out.
the drunken loser
Right.
that okay, if you want a job, we'll make you do these outrageous things, and the audience will pay to see that, but it's very obviously exploitative, and
Right. They're-
abusive.
And I think William Dafoe's character in the film, he is like drugging them with
Yes, wood
Poppy.
alcohol or something they said, which I don't even know what that is.
Well, not just that. Well, he's got the wood alcohol, but then he also has like the regular alcohol. But then he has, I think, opium.
opium.
Yeah,
He puts
okay.
a drop of opium in.
Right.
Because he said just one drop.
Yep,
So
and
obviously
right.
he's debilitating this person to then make him do these weird, heinous acts,
Just, yeah.
of which they're profiting off of. So that's the geek is a kind of the central character, not a central character, but a character that plays big importance
It's-
to this
yeah.
story.
Yes.
Especially towards the end where
Right.
But yeah, we weren't familiar with that term either. But the geek is the performer at the carnival, who's kind of the
Run the litter.
the lowest on the totem
Right.
pole. And in this situation, yeah, he was being manipulated
Some
and
may
drugged.
say I'm like the geek of the comic shop, right?
We are actually for episode 25. We're going to make you eat a live
Oh,
chicken.
God.
We haven't told you this yet.
Oh, you're gonna get
goodness.
chicken
Okay.
all over the table here.
It's just going to be Lucas covered in blood and a chicken like shaking on the table, and it's like
Oh,
this,
gosh.
this has been the final episode of the Comic Shop
This
Does
is
a
it,
Podcast.
folks. This is it.
The comic shop does a chicken barbecue.
Oh gosh. But yeah, going in, what were you? Did you expect anything? Because you only saw the original, right? The original.
Well, I
film.
mean, I saw it
So-
when it first came to streaming. I
Oh,
watched
did
it.
you?
I watched it when it first came out.
Oh,
So
okay.
I saw the new one first, and I mean, I don't think I knew exactly what to expect with the Guillermo del Toro
right
thing.
right.
I didn't know if there was going to be some more fantastical elements, but I knew the direction was going to be really good. I knew the set design and production values
yeah,
were going
it's
to be off the
fantastic.
charts.
The set design was beautiful.
Beautiful.
The carnival looks
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
It reminded me of a show that I really enjoyed on HBO in the early 2000s called Carnival. And I think it only ran for like 2 seasons, but that was one of my favorite because it was this weird cast of characters of the
Right.
freaks of the carnival, and then all these beautifully, like, actually reminds me of Caetano stuff, these beautiful hand painted like stages and the physical props and everything like that. Just very cool stuff and very on brand for Guillermo del Toro.
John says he loved that show. Carnival.
Yeah, the lighting in it was phenomenal.
I was explaining to Lucas because he actually watched the last half
Right,
hour
yeah,
of it here, the blue and orange thing, which I wasn't picking up on.
Oh yeah,
Tints,
that's a Guillermo del Toro thing.
Staple.
Like you go back and look at like Mimic and like maybe even some of the things before that. But like he's got all like blue and orange light. You look at Blade 2, that thing is just like covered in orange light. You look
And
at Hellboy, covered in orange
what
He
light.
was
did
this-
Blade 2?
Yeah.
He brought that up yesterday too, and I had to.
Wow, I had no
Yeah.
idea.
He
What's
did
this
Blade
thing?
2 and then Hellboy 1 and 2.
What's the significance
Those are
of the
great.
blue and orange lighting?
I think it's something that he likes to use. I mean,
Is
it
it-
looks like nighttime because like that orange
Right.
light is very much like a street light type thing. But it's also, I mean, it's a complementary color scheme. It's an easy way to because the orange is going to come forward, and if you use blue, you can push things into the background. You
I
can
think there's
play
some
with that.
examples of that in Caetano's book, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, it's because our sky is blue and we've got like an orange sun. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, we've got even like the background of this panel right here. We've got the ground kind of a blue and the sky an orange, and then this is kind of like a darker, almost silhouetted figure. So it's just a great way to push and pull parts of a scene and create depth with color. I mean, and that's a color scheme that we see absolutely everywhere all the time. Is the blue and orange. Not to say that there aren't other things in there too, but just the use of colors, the use of lighting. Like there's a lot of red in the carnival, and then when they leave the carnival and go to the city with the Mentalist Act, like the only thing that's red. Still is his wife, who
Yes.
came from the carnival.
Which I didn't pick up on until I think she was trying to leave him towards the end and was in like the train station, and she was like hiding in the bathroom stall.
Right.
And everybody was in black or like olive. It was all very dark.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me that, oh, she's the red. It's still in the red dress from symbolizing that carnival thing. And I guess I guess that was going on the whole time there, and said I just didn't pick up on it until then.
I think she was in a red dress too when she went into the phone booth when she didn't want to talk to him anymore.
Oh, that's exactly the scene I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
the same
yeah.
scene. Yeah. And she like goes in the bathroom or the guy's bathroom.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's at the end of the
Oh,
movie.
are we thinking of a different scene then?
I think there are two different scenes, but I'll play along.
Okay.
I don't know. I just watched it an hour ago, and I don't know. It's one of those films I feel like you can rewatch.
Oh,
and
definitely.
I
pick
would
up back
rewatch
on.
that. I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah. Especially like I don't know, knowing the ending. Like I usually don't like to rewatch films. Like even the Batman. Like I could have saw it with you guys, and I was like, I don't really want to.
I
This
just thought you
film-
didn't want to hang out with us, to be honest.
Well, that's I don't want to say that, but yeah, that's the truth. But this film, I could see myself rewatching in like a week and really kind of diving more into it. I mean, it's Guillermo del Toro. You know, he directs and writes it, so it's like, you know, there's always going to be deeper layers there.
I just like hanging out in that world. I think because it looks so good.
It does.
And
It's
the
a very bleak world, though. Like, not like story wise. You know,
It's bleak because it takes place in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
The
bleakest city in the United States.
I didn't realize that we had talked about it being filmed in Buffalo, but they're actually one of the henchmen for the wife killer,
Right.
was listening to the radio at the end, and it does say, Buffalo, New York, blah blah blah. That it's not just using reference from Buffalo. It was actually that scene was supposed to take place in Buffalo, which I didn't realize. We had talked about it being there, but
Yeah, the City Hall, Buffalo City Hall was featured
I didn't.
prominently in there,
That's cool.
as well as other locations too. I think part of the reason they chose it was because they're known for the snowfall, so they were hoping to make use of some natural snowfall, but they still had to create artificial snow for the scenes.
They should have come to Oswego. We have a lot of snow. They could have filmed in
Well,
Oswego.
it depends on when you catch us. It would be cool if people would come to Oswego to film. I know that they do some filming in Syracuse, like what is it, American High?
American High.
well, when we were doing Comics and Coffee. What was that? The story was Nick Swartzen was walking around because he
Yes.
was filming something there.
Yeah, filming what's the name of that movie? It came out on Hulu, and they're doing a sequel. I can't remember, but Nick Swartzen's doing a sequel of a comedy.
But he was walking around apparently in a mask. I don't know if he was.
I thought you met him.
No, because nobody knew it was him until he left, and somebody recognized him as he was leaving. I don't know if he was taking off his mask, and then they asked for a picture with him, and then they came back downstairs and went, "That was just Nick Swartzen walking around for 10 minutes. I guess he's filming something," but nobody knew it was him.
We couldn't tell it was him because he wasn't wearing shorts and roller skating around like
Yes.
in Reno 911.
It's a great show.
Shout out to Reno 911.
I have to watch more of that show.
They've been doing some new episodes of that.
Yeah,
They were on
they brought
Quibi,
it back.
but then Quibi went under, and
Which
Roku,
is funny because Quibi, the 15-minute show app, lasted about 15 minutes as an app.
Yeah,
and Roku,
I remember.
and
like,
Roku
a
was
lot
just
of people
waiting
were
in the
pushing
wings,
that.
saying, "I'll take that content, Quibi." God, there's actually let's do a comic book show shout out. The show Slugfest, which talks about conflicts and behind the scenes in the comics history.
Oh,
A great show.
what's it on?
Roku channel, and they actually cast like some real real comic book creators with real actors. Like Ray Wise plays Jack Kirby. Great casting for that. Sean Gunn plays a version of
Sean
Stan
Gunn,
Lee,
sure.
like the
Okay.
1970s Stan Lee. Actually, fantastic casting, and other things like that too. And they talk about how different things came together in this old things, and it's narrated by Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith, the patron saint of
He is.
of
He's our
geek culture.
Stan Lee.
Is he?
He is.
He's got a filthier mouth, but a more pure heart.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
He seems like actually, like last week, he does a podcast. And he does it in like a restaurant or like a bar,
With Mark
some-
Bernardin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I listened to
which
that.
I always find strange.
Is it Fat Man on Batman, or did they change the name
I
of
think
it?
it's changed now.
They
he's not-
changed it because
he's
you
not
can't
fat
copyright.
anymore?
You can't
He's
copyright.
not fat anymore.
Well, but I think the thing was,
Can't use Batman.
Fat Man on Batman. He doesn't own Batman, but you can say Fat Man Beyond.
Yes. Okay. 'cause
And
it's-
also it takes in all those connotations of, wait, hey, isn't he not fat anymore? But they talk about more than just Batman, so it's kind of like rebranding and reconceptualization.
I find it strange they do it in like a restaurant.
It's supposed to be
It
like
seems
a,
cool.
it's like
Scum
a
and Villainy.
Scum
the
and
Star
Villainy.
Wars.
Yeah, it's a
the
Star Wars.
Yeah,
restaurant.
yeah.
And I hear it's not very big at all. I
No.
hear it's like a real little place.
Yeah, and they're buddies with the owner, so that's why they do it there.
I would go to that. I mean, it's out in
Yeah,
California.
I would
but-
love to sit in on one of those.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Why would you do that when we have the podcast right here?
Well,
Well,
this podcast sucks.
come on, a lot of podcasts. Hey, I'm going to stand up for this little podcast. We
Should-
do a lot of stuff here, even
should-
though it's just the back room of this firehouse.
Should we do like a podcast with an audience sometime?
I've thought
you-
about that.
Could you imagine?
I've thought about
Two
that
people
because
would show up.
No, I bet because we could just have we've got 24 chairs in here.
That'd be awkward though.
Oh, it'd be totally.
I mean,
awkward.
maybe we like
Yeah,
get
well,
more viewers
who would it
and
be
stuff.
though? It would be the people who are listening online anyway.
So nobody,
Right,
nobody
right.
would be watching online.
Exactly.
That's all right.
I think that's funny.
It's
Because I've thought about this because we've got some more mics. So like
Right.
I could just stand by the audience and like I could hand the mic and we could people could ask questions and things
yeah.
like that. It could be really corny.
I'd like that. I think that could be cool though. It's a good dry run for like if we ever do like some kind of panels or something at a convention. If if that ever does happen.
Like the comic shop does a podcast like panels. Is that what you're talking about? Or-
Yeah, well,
Comic
I mean,
Shop does a panel.
We kind of did that last week, right?
Yeah, I mean
That
that was
was a
I
panel.
guess. Yeah.
that was kind of it.
Yeah, that was kind of a panel. Yeah.
We kind of did a little
That was-
corner
that
of a
was fun,
Comic
though.
Con
That
back
was-
here.
That was fun. Yeah, we definitely did. But yeah, this is great Nightmare Alley chat.
I know.
Well,
We talked about
welcome
it
to the
for 10
Untitled
minutes.
Comic Shop does a
talked
podcast where
about
we
it for
cannot
10
stay on
minutes.
topic about Nightmare Alley.
But
It's
that's-
blue and orange. Guillermo
Blue
del
and
Toro.
orange, that's it.
A lot of blue, a lot of orange.
That's
Kate Blanchett is
Right.
haunting in this movie.
She's cool.
Very menacing.
She's a nice lady.
She kind of always like. I feel like she pops up in a lot of the same type roles, where it's like oh, this
yeah.
lady seems like kind of enchanting or something, and it's
Right.
like, oh wait, there's something dark about this woman. Like
Yeah.
she's up to no good, and then before you know it, she got you. She got you good.
I like because they never really dive into more her character. You know, she has like that scar, which maybe they kind of give an explanation,
So-
but I don't think they do.
I'm thinking about that scar, and she mentions how dangerous this gentleman is that they're
Right.
trying to summon.
I always thought he was like a some sort of government official.
Actually, yeah, Darren, do we know what that guy does? He's just
He's definitely
He's like old money, like he's like a captain of industry who just like owns everything. I think.
Bradley
Okay.
Cooper's trying to contact this this guy's deceased
deceased
wife,
right,
and the guy is loaded with money and evil to his core, which he
Yeah.
kind of reveals in the end that like
right. Yeah.
there may be several women that have died under his hand. It's
Yeah.
not explicitly stated, but
Not a good dude.
not a good
No.
person.
Not a good guy.
And the lure of money
But-
just has Stanton Carlisle just
Right.
Going back to the
right.
scar on is it Lilith was
yes.
Yes.
when Lilith shoots Bradley Cooper
Right.
and hits his ear and his ear is all disfigured. I kind of went to that moment where Lilith was talking about this guy's an evil guy. Like, has she played this game with him? And she ended up she was one of her patients. She's
Right.
a psychiatrist, but
Right.
I don't know how much of a doctor she really is. More than like
She doesn't seem like a good person.
she just seems like she wants to manipulate
Right,
people.
right.
Yes.
So this evil guy is going to her for psychiatry advice. Did she try to manipulate him, and he ended up hurting her?
Right.
And now, and she's got this physical scar of this confrontation with this character. And now does Bradley Cooper have a physical scar with confrontation with? I don't know. I felt like I wanted to make some kind of connection between.
Some kind of cyclical violence with
Yeah.
manipulation and ramification.
I loved the power dynamic between
Right, yeah,
Lilith
they're
and
always-
Stan, though.
Right.
That like each one thinks that they're in control of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're both like violently trying to manipulate one, not violently physically, but like mentally just
Right,
trying to
right.
manipulate the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just deceit and underhandedness. And they're both kind of gross characters. And they
Yeah.
both kind of have a respect for one another and a hate for themselves. It was just such an interesting
weird.
power
Yeah.
dynamic that they had that like,
I think they are very interesting characters and make for a good dynamic, right?
Yeah. One thing I noticed compared to the first, and I already kind of touched on this, but the original 1947 film, they make you identify with Stanton Carlisle a lot more. They make him more redeemable.
Right.
But the more we find out about Bradley Cooper's take on him through flashbacks and some other things,
Yeah.
like he is not a good guy.
No, not like there's this with the alcohol. He says he never drinks,
Yeah.
which that's something if I do rewatch, I want to look more into and see really what that means. Like, I kind of almost looked at it as like him becoming like corrupt, which he, over the course of the movie he does. He starts out almost as a good guy, right? That's
But
how we perceive him,
He's showcased as a good guy,
right? And then we
with the
realize,
little
or it's shown later on that he like killed his dad, pretty much, right?
Well, I think that maybe his dad was an alcoholic and he might have had cirrhosis, which might have been like why he was bedridden.
I think that's a good theory.
And
Yeah.
then rather than care for him, there's and like try to help him or at least make him comfortable, he just took his blanket and
right.
basically just like
Let him die.
He was like,
opened the
He
window.
just had a cigarette,
Set
hurled up in
set
a
the whole
blanket,
house
and just
on
watched
fire.
his dad die. I'm like, what the heck? That's
Yeah.
and they reveal that at the very, very end, right?
Which it's hinted at the beginning because
Yeah.
you see him throwing the
Right.
body that's on fire
Into like the floorboards.
yeah,
and
but
lighting
it's
the
not
place
really
on fire.
foul.
And
then
it's
I- then I-
It's like throughout the film, you always kind of go back to that fire, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's always
the
hinted at.
backwards fire. Very David Lynch.
Yes, I did notice that. I really liked that shot there where it was like in reverse. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's interesting.
And it kind of jumps back and forth and like cuts together.
But
Like-
yeah, he sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, they do a good job of like not hitting you over the head explicitly with the storytelling
right.
and just letting the images tell the story,
Yeah.
which I like a lot.
I think like casting across the board was all
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
solid. Like Bradley Cooper, he killed it,
Yep.
as this character Stan. And there were some other interesting characters. The big bad, I guess. The guy who's either like
He
locked up.
he
or
was the father in Six Feet Under.
And Step Brothers. He was.
Oh yes, same guy.
And then-
he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he's a great
I can't think of his
actor.
name.
He was also in Shape of Water. Who he
Aaron wants him to be the Thing.
really?
Oh, you mean his like assistant bodyguard guy?
Oh no,
He was also in Mindhunter, the kind of heavier dude
Oh, okay.
towards the end.
Is he?
He would have been a really he still could be a good thing, but I think they'll probably go in a different direction. Like 10 years ago, I think he
Yeah,
would have been a
right,
really
right.
good choice for Thing. Ben
I think
Grimm.
they'll-
I mean, you see him talk and like he could be Ben Grimm if they went that direction. He'd be
Maybe
a good
they
pick.
will. They're doing a Fantastic Four movie now. So.
Well, they should just do another season of Mindhunters. With,
They're not gonna. That movie or that show, I tried to watch that, and it's a great show.
I love that show.
But I'm like, oh my god, it's just so like mentally draining. Like I watch an
Really?
episode and I'm just like depressed.
Oh, I love
I'm like,
it.
I just can't do it, and I
not-
had to stop watching.
And not
it.
a lick of violence in that show.
It's
all,
just
it's all
it just-
dialogue.
That stuff disturbs me too. I hate like, I just hate that stuff. And they really went into detail about stuff. Nothing shown, but and I was like, I can't watch this.
Yeah,
It's-
great
it's too-
soundtrack too. They played a lot of like Joy Division and stuff.
I-
They had my number.
Lucas loves Joy. He's more of a New Order guy. I bet Lucas is more of a New Order guy.
I'm more of a New
sure.
Order guy myself. But
New Order,
but
great.
Isolation by Joy Division, that's a great tune.
Sure.
I don't know if I could pick Joy Division or New Order, to be honest. I think that there are things from both their catalogs that I celebrate.
Right. Yeah.
There's more to enjoy in New Order. I'm more me personally. I'm more of a
Why'd
New
you have to say
This
something?
is where we lose Lucas.
I'm more of a
Why'd
New
you have
Order
to say
person.
something?
Like Joy Division just gets too bleak and down. Even
100%
when
agree with you
when
there.
I'm bleak and down, I'm still kind of like, hey, you got a little bit of pep or something. That's why I love Blue Monday so much. The
I agree.
seminal New Order track.
Blue
Very
Monday's great,
very
yeah.
bleak lyrics, but man, if you just blast the beginning of that song with
Since
the
we're talking about
doo-doo-doo-doo,
music, should we
Love
do, do,
Love
do,
will
do.
tear us apart again.
Great song.
Let's go
Anyhow.
back to
Billy Joel?
no.
Oh,
Let's go back to Nightmare.
Ian
Alley.
Curtis.
Nightmare Alley. Yeah, sure. What else do we have to say?
I don't
about
know.
that?
Not much music in the movie.
I noticed.
Very
That too.
actually very sparse. And even at one point, Aaron and I were questioning: is there music in the? But we missed some because watching at the end. Lucas watched the last half hour today. There were a few cinematic splashes in there. And it looks like whoever was supposed to do the music for this was kind of canned and replaced late in the game. So I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Although I doubt it because I feel like these are professional people.
Yeah.
And if Guillermo del Toro wanted a piece of music, he would get the piece of music.
100%. He's like he's a household name.
And he knows how to work with people. And he knows how to work on a budget too. Like Shape of Water was $20 million, which sounds like a lot, to us little people. But in a Hollywood production, $20 million.
Right. That's
And even
yeah.
and
And the VIA, the it's I was gonna say the the special effects, but it was really all practical. You know,
Pretty much.
The monster in Shape of Water was.
Nightmare
Really
Alley
well done.
cost $60 million.
Wow, I bet that was because they had a lot of big actors attached to it. You know, they had Bradley Cooper,
Mhm.
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah,
A lot of beautiful
uh,
sets too,
what's-
custom built, like Lilith's office. Man.
amazing.
Oh
set.
yeah, definitely. That was such a good set. And you know, we talked a bit about the circuits and stuff too.
Oh
That
yeah,
was-
because you gotta build all that too.
I loved her office, so that was made like
Ron Perlman is Bruno.
Ron Perlman.
Gotta love
yeah.
Ron Perlman.
Great little sprinkling in
He,
there.
I think he started like a film studio
In Syracuse.
In Syracuse, yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
successful it was.
Ron
but,
Perlman did?
Yes.
Yeah,
Really? Was
Uh,
this a recent thing?
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You'd last 5-10 years, I think.
I remember my dad was telling me about it. You know, and
Huh.
I don't know. I don't know if it's still around or if it's not.
Do you think Nick Swardson was filming there when we saw him?
I don't know. I don't know what the
I don't know if
relationship all
Ron
those
Perlman
Syracuse-
and Nick Swart. You know, I don't know if they have the same. You know,
Guillermo has a Pinocchio coming out on Netflix later this year. Jonathan Legoman,
That's him?
is that an animated feature?
no, I don't think so. I think that's well,
Is
it might be.
Is
but-
it done in the? Because I think Guillermo had something to do with Book of Life. If you remember that animated film,
I do not.
No.
it's kind of like a Mexican culture thing. I've been meaning to watch it, but I just haven't.
Maybe I do remember that. Yeah. No, but the Pinocchio film, if it's the same one, it's like Tom Hanks is the old grandpa guy, and they just released an image actually of the film, and it looks.
It's live action.
It is, yeah.
Geppetto. It took me a minute to think of that. Geppetto. Aaron, tell me about the camera work in Nightmare Alley.
So it was like all like dolly shots, like all gentle glides everywhere.
Yeah.
I mentioned to Evan when we were watching it, the film felt very kind of like voyeuristic, like we were seeing things that we were not meant to see
Sure. Yeah.
all the time, and it's like we were just kind of quietly observing like cons happening, and then like manipulation and getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the seedy underbelly of Chicago, and going deeper and deeper for the money, and then of course doesn't quite work out.
I love that this is based off real stuff too. That like if you went back to like that time period, like things like seances and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
General like pseudoscience, junk science stuff was taking place. And like there were people who were. I loved about that too. That the psychology of it all, of like being able to read people, or what do they call it? Like a cold reading.
Yeah.
Like where like somebody can look at you and pick up something from Aaron's glasses and his posture and the way that he speaks,
Right.
and it's like immediately kind of go into telling Aaron things that he knows about himself, which then Aaron in return gives that person more information. That it's a fascinating form of psychology. I love that too. But the fact that back in the day, 100 years ago, people believed in this mystical, magical stuff, and you could take advantage of rich people
Right.
and exploit them to get money out of it, doing phony, talking to the dead and things like that. I think it's fantastic. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree. That part of history always interests me, especially because you have the I can't remember the Remington. No, it's like so they made a movie. I think there was a big actress attached to it where she has this mansion, and her husband was the creator of some gun or something, and this is true. And she created this mansion, and spirits or whoever told her that if you don't stop building the mansion, that she's gonna die or something. And so,
Yes, this is
you
a
know-
real thing. I've
Yeah,
never
you know
seen the
what I'm
movie, but I've seen something before where she kept on adding rooms to this house.
and like there's
and
like
it's
stairways that don't go
don't go
anywhere.
yeah. It
I-
was like she believed that the voices were telling her to keep
Right.
adding addition. So it's this weird, creepy house that I think you can get tours in.
Oh,
today.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But it's just
I
like
can't
the
remember-
bizarro. I'm vaguely familiar with
The Remington house. Yeah. So
Okay.
Remington. Yeah. And yeah, like the spirits of all the people that were killed by Remington would haunts the house, something like that. And I think some guy like Stan probably told her that, and just
some general contractor just told her that he got work for the rest of his life.
that's
Well,
funny, but
it's it could happen.
it's an interesting story though, and obviously there was they took advantage of her. I'm sure she was grieving over the death of her husband, and she was just looking. I don't know, but it's an interesting story, and it kind of relates to Nightmare Alley, right? Where
Yeah, money plus grief equals strange outcomes.
for sure.
Yeah.
What would you rate this film though?
And in terms of like it's beautiful,
It
so
is.
I give it a solid A for visuals.
Solid A, okay. Not A plus.
There's a part of me that like I know Guillermo. I think Guillermo's trying to like.
As
be
a
like,
as a
look.
teacher, do you ever give 100?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
Like,
wondering, I was wondering if
there's
you were
lot
like
of
a
effort.
teacher who's like, there's no such thing as a
No,
100.
I give out 100s. Like if there's exceptional effort, but I'm working with middle schoolers and not Guillermo del Toro. He can take an A. He'll be happy with an A from me. I think.
Yeah, maybe.
The narrative structure of the movie, just like how they foreshadow with the geek at the beginning and then he becomes the geek at the end.
I kind of thought that was the route they were going
Yeah.
in the very beginning too.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we're about 15 minutes from the end of the movie, and you're like, he becomes the geek, right? And I was like,
yeah.
you gotta watch it until the end.
Yeah, it's like it was kind of obvious, especially towards the end. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, he's and I think it's it has to do with the alcohol thing where
Yep.
William Dafoe's character made a huge thing about the alcohol and
And that wasn't in
he
the
gets-
original one. All that explanation
No,
wasn't in
no.
the original. It was in the newer one of how they hook him and keep him in that position.
Right. It confused me when they were like, "Oh yeah, it's just going to be a temporary thing." Like what? So do they get killed? The geeks?
No,
or?
they want to string you along, and they want to give you the hope that you're going to do other things.
Right, but yeah.
So like, look, I don't have anything else for you right now. This is just a temporary thing, though, because we're going to find. I think they even said it. Willem Dafoe's character, and then the guy at the end say it. Once we find a real geek,
Yeah.
like we'll. So I think that's just the.
And
Again, it's all this mental manipulation where you're
Yeah.
manipulating this character into thinking that there's hope, when really it's like, we're going to use you until we don't need you anymore.
Right.
I don't think they're going to kill him or anything like that.
No.
But he may end up dying from the poisoning that like
Or
if-
salmonella.
I was going to say eating.
yeah. But I think that's the thing. Well, if he dies, he dies. We'll find another geek. But I think you're dangling the carrot of hope that this is only a temporary thing. This isn't we don't see you in this thing forever. This is my offer to you is you can come with us. We're going to put a roof over your head. We're going to give you a few meals a day, and you don't have to do anything really. You're just it's only temporary.
Yeah, I love I think it's Bradley Cooper's last line where he's like, "I was born."
yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, that's because reveals that he was always a kind of a sleaze bag. At the beginning, like we were talking about, they want us to think, oh, maybe he's a good guy. He seems like he's kind of helping out the geek and
I think
doing
it's
all
almost
this
a
stuff.
reference to his father. That like his
Right.
father maybe would have been one of these troubled
That-
people that would have
yeah.
been a geek, and
Yeah.
that's why I think I was born for this. Is like him saying, "Yeah,
Right.
I'm my father. I was born to
Right,
I can't
right.
escape my destiny."
That's interesting. Yeah. It's like I said, it's one of those films that I think it needs to be rewatched and really.
Yeah. And the thing that's I think the narrative structure is like an A. I would say all across the board, like a solid A.
I
Just
would
in terms
agree.
of narrative structure, visuals, acting, performance.
They're great.
Just a
great
just a
actors.
great story. You like hanging out in the world, even though it's menacing and kind of dark, but it's very interesting with many layered, nuanced performances
Sure, yeah.
all the way through. Solid A from me.
Yeah, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10 or something.
You see, Guillermo del Toro is trying to. I think in his career, he's trying to be like, look, I can make a movie without monsters, and it can be just as good.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
I think that's true. But I also really like monsters. So like,
I love it. Yeah, like he works with amazing people, and obviously it's his vision. Like his monster designs are fantastic.
like if a monster just popped by for like 5 minutes, I would have been A+.
Aaron, in the end, the humans were the monsters.
Well, they always are.
They
in the
always
Guillermo
are,
del
yes.
Toro.
Hellboy 3.
Yeah,
that'd be
I
great.
don't think it's going to happen, but
I think
would love it.
Ron Perlman said something recently about that, where he's like, "If we're gonna make it, we gotta make it soon."
Because he's pushing 7.
That was 10 years ago. that he
I
said that.
think it was like within the last year where, I think he said something like that. He's
Well,
like,
with
we gotta get on
I
that.
think when they rebooted it, I think that took.
I
that-
think that was probably the final nail in the coffin, right? Where he was like, "Yeah, probably not."
And
I would love to see it though. I do like Hellboy 1 and 2.
I love Hellboy 1 and 2.
Those are films I have to rewatch.
Yeah.
For sure.
I didn't.
For sure.
I didn't hate the reboot. There were definitely issues with it, but there was a lot to enjoy there too. And I don't think that
I thought when they
David
casted,
Harbour was bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I'm like, oh, David Harbour. He seems like a good pick for a new Hellboy.
Yeah.
He seems like I love David Harbour. I really do, and I want to see him in.
But they
more
would have to
stuff.
do some.
Why don't you marry him?
I would.
They would have to.
He's
do
a
some,
hunk. He's a hunk.
They would have to do some massive Lovecraftian horror for the third one.
Oh,
too.
yeah, they would
And
have
it's
to
been
go
so
all out.
long. There would have to be like Hellboy Jr. already. Like we'd
Yeah.
have to jump right into.
Yeah,
Hellboy Jr. Spoiler alert: Hellboy 2. He's gonna be a dad.
that's all right. It's fine. I don't want to read it and enjoy it for myself. That's fine. But yeah, I don't know. It's been an hour. I say we wrap it up. What do you think?
Look at you taking charge, Lucas.
Yeah.
I said what I felt needed to be
I
said.
said my piece. I'm done. Nightmare
You
Alley.
never asked for my rating.
Well, that was
Well,
by
we don't need
design.
it.
Okay, very good.
No, just
Now, what would you rate it?
14 out of 10 tuna cans. Interpret that how you will.
Wow. Okay. That was a waste of time. All right. All right. Well,
All right, we're
that's
derailing.
that's a wrap for sure.
Let's plug Caetano stuff again. Not that it's even for sale, but coming soon to a comic shop near you because I'm sure this property will be picked up.
look at this thing. Beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
The Rainbow Room. Look at that.
Coming soon by Black Rabbit Studios.
Yeah, Black Rabbit
Fantastic.
Comics. All this kind of writing on the inside. It just looks so good. It's so well thought out. The colors are
The colors are everything about this is super tight.
super tight. If yeah, I was talking to Caetano. I was like, if you can't get this, if somebody won't pick this up to publish it, there's no hope for any of us.
There's no hope for anyone if this doesn't get picked up.
Yeah.
because you would show me a higher level execution of a comic. You'd be
Yeah.
very, very, very hard pressed.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we got to get him on here sometime.
I know,
Maybe
I
when
know.
when that comes closer to fruition, or he's got like the complete, or even any time.
Tell us about Wesley.
Oh yeah, I mean Wesley 1 through 8 are available now at the Sugo Comic Shop, or also on my Pens and Pedals Etsy. I've got Pizza's Pizza, the Human Son of a Living Pizza Man Must Fight Evil Anchovies, featuring Judge Dredd with the
LT
cheese on his
Provolone.
head. LT Provolone. I also have a 30-page horror zine, Creep of the Crop and Crop of Creeps, Craptacular Crop Show.
Pretty crappy.
Three anthology stories in the style of EC Comics, featuring the Creep of the Crop, the rural ghost horror host. It's
Ooh, that's
one.
a new one. Write that one down.
No, I've already written it down.
That gets the Evan Coy stamp of approval.
It's got a rhyme. But all that stuff is going on. I'm going to be tabling April 2nd at the Rochester Independent Comics Expo,
Sweet.
which is coming all April. I'm going to be doing some tablings.
April 2nd or April 3rd?
I believe it's April 2nd.
Is it Saturday or Sunday?
I think it's Saturday.
Okay, I thought you told me Sunday. The 2nd is a Saturday.
I believe I said 2nd.
All right.
And then there's also can we talk about the comic shop thing? The event.
So we're currently looking to do an event. Oswego's longest-running mini-con, now celebrating its first year. The comic shop does a mini-con. And I think we're looking at the April 16th for that. Details to come. But we're going to have some tables. We're going to have some books. We're going to have some cool stuff, hopefully. But in the works. Probably shouldn't even said that. But see what happens.
well,
Made
it's
a
on the
big
pod.
mistake
It's on the
there, Evan.
podcast, so people have to dig in really
I
deep
just
to get
love
the
it.
info.
Nobody watches.
I love my tagline, though, of Oswego's longest-running mini-con, now celebrating its first year. So we have to do something with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what else is going on? I got accepted into Ithacon, which is
I believe Caetano's going to join you. We're just going to jam him in there.
Yeah, we're gonna do some Ithacon tabling. I've never done that before, but if you create your own comics, they give you a table for free, which is hey, why not? Because it's hard enough to make your own book, so it's nice that there's somebody out there who recognizes that effort. Like you're not just showing up and being like, I got a bunch of issues in New Warriors, which I do. So it'll be the month of April will be me avoiding my duties as a new father and sitting at a table and selling
There you
comic
go.
books.
That's how it should be.
Lucas, you're working on a comic too.
I am, yeah.
Do you want to talk about it all or no?
Yeah, no.
No, okay.
It's a
Well,
zombie comedy.
I'm just working on it.
It's a zombie.
It is. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Zombie.
I hear you've almost done writing your second issue.
Second issue, yeah. I'm at like page 18 now, I think. So
How
I
many-
do 22 pages.
22 pages.
Yeah, so I try to do a page a day. You know,
How long is the series?
I want to do a six issue
Six-part?
thing. Yeah,
Man, that's big.
yeah,
It's
it's tough.
big.
That's
It's
big.
tough.
He was also talking about maybe doing just like a.
Yeah, I do want to do like a one shot, like a 30-page one shot, maybe, or maybe even just 22-page. I don't know. I just need to. I have some ideas for it, but
Yeah, a one and done is a good way to like get something done and out there, but it could be
Right,
part of
right.
something bigger. But then it also like puts more gas in your tank. Like when it comes out, You know what I mean? If it's a shorter thing, like that's why I started off Wesley doing like shorter stories. Like the first issue was 10 pages, and then the next one I think was 15 pages, and then it like grew over time. But like,
Right.
and then I even had some shorter chapters too that were like 6 pages. But like when you finish something short and you get it out into the world, it just gives you like a little bit of like
Little goose.
a little boost,
Yeah,
little boost.
okay.
Like, hey, I got that thing done. Now I'm
Yeah,
on to the
yeah.
next one.
I do want to start doing my own drawings. Like just have like a simple style, where it's like just simple stuff, because I'm not, the best artist. I can draw a bit.
Well, even setting up
But-
your compositions and stuff, like if you do end up working with someone else, if you figure out what needs to be in that panel and
Right,
where
right,
things
right.
need to be, that can help out quite a bit. I know different artists like different things. Like some people might want to figure it out all on their own, but the more detail you can have, like the very best comic book writers like Alan Moore and
Right,
Dave Gibbons and
right.
stuff, they write, but they're figuring it out all on the panels. They're like if it's Alan Moore, he's like, okay, we're going to do a 3-tier here. This is going to be a one long panel. In this one, this is going to be here, and this is going to be in the background,
Right.
and this is going to be the emotion, and this is going to be the expression and the pose.
Well, I think like especially with like writing a comic, there's so many different ways to go about it. When you write when you write a movie or a TV show, there's like a industry standard. It's like you need to format it a certain way, or it's you're gonna embarrass yourself. And with comics, it's not really like that. You can have somewhat of a structure, but like there's the Marvel way of doing it, which I think isn't really a
Well, that's more the
It's-
old school. Marvel.
yeah. It's not really that's not really a thing anymore. Usually there are scripts.
Very heavily tight scripts.
Right. So I don't know. I was I think it was in the back of what's the farthest place from here or something.
What's the furthest place from here?
Yeah, which is a really good book. And they had I love it when they put comic scripts in the back of an issue, and I always look at it and read it and see how they do it. And they had like it seems like they were like a screenwriter or like worked in the movie industry because they had like wide shot, a stab, whatever. So I thought that was interesting how they set up how they want the composition and if it's a close up or whatever. And I tried to do that too.
There's a lot of overlap between people who work in comics and people who work in Hollywood. Like Edward Baker does stuff in Hollywood. Brian K. Vaughan,
right.
Robert Kirkman.
Yep.
There's a lot of overlap. More freedom in comics, though.
Yeah, for sure. But so I'm gonna start working on a one shot. I think I actually have an idea for another zombie book, which I think I can make into a one shot.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't know if anyone's done this before, so I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to you after the show and see.
I wouldn't even worry about that. Like if it's a story you want to tell, don't worry about what other people have done.
Like I think I could turn it into a longer thing, but I'm like, okay, I could just take this character and do a one shot, and that's that. So I don't know. Let's end it though. It's past an hour. I gotta pee really bad. I just chugged that coffee. So
And Jordan Crane's Instagram mini comics. I have not seen that, but I'll make a note of it. But I think we did get a little bit of a discussion in here about Nightmare Alley. Really good movie. Really
Yeah, no, we
visually
did.
stunning movie. Rated R. A lot of cool stuff in there. A sophisticated movie, but not so sophisticated that most people can't enjoy it. Definitely not like a family movie, but like a great kind
Mama's
of-
Geeky would take
kind
her
of
kids
thriller.
to see it, I think.
she might.
Maybe not.
She might.
Less violence than the Batman.
The one
I
scene
would say
with the wife who shoots the husband's pretty intense.
it was yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's such a small like it's an intense scene, but it's so short.
right. Yeah,
But it's pretty intense.
It
It's
is
pretty
intense.
intense.
It is intense. You take that out, and it's got less.
I
violence
find
than the Batman.
when they first introduced the Geek, that scene was very disturbing to me. And he
yeah,
he takes a chicken, and it's almost like he doesn't want to.
he doesn't.
He doesn't.
And then he bite. I'm like, oh, and there's like blood everywhere. I'm like, oh, that's gross. But overall, the film was solid.
Yeah,
It's not for the. Well, I was gonna
Guillermo
say
del
it's not
Toro,
for
one
the
of my
faint of the
favorite
heart.
filmmakers, working today.
Oh, he's
Anything he does, I want to see it.
absolutely
A
yeah.
good thriller tragedy, I'm going to call it.
A
Yeah,
tragedy.
I would say
A tragedy.
sure.
And there it is, a
All right.
tragedy, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
right.
Maybe Aaron, you could take us home.
You've been
Take us
listening
home,
to the Sogo Comic Shop Does a Podcast with me, Papa Lee.
I'm the intern.
I'm your tyrannical comic shop dictator. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good one.